Chapter 6 Teaching Style in Your Content. I cannot tell you how to teach your subject since I don't know you or what you're teaching, but I can give you some tips to help you. Tip number 1. Try to avoid long lecture. Remember when you at that age sat there during what seemed to be endless lecture. Your mind drifted, and it was hard for you to pay attention. In that same way, your kids are no different than you were. It is said that for every year of a child's life counts for about 1 minute that they can pay attention. So a 5-year-old can pay attention for 5 minutes, a 20-year-old can pay attention for 20 minutes. Although I don't know, in some teachers' workshops I find my mind can drift in 5 minutes or less. So what do? For me, I try to switch things up every 15 minutes or so. What I mean is if I'm doing a lecture or presentation, I try to make sure that I'm switching out every 15 minutes or doing a different activity or somehow changing what we're doing every 15 minutes or so. If that is not possible, then I do what's called a U-try. What that is when I cover a small chunk of information and I feel that the class has now understood what I was trying to present, the U-try gives them a chance to show their knowledge. It's a quick question or activity asking them about what I just talked about. I want to show you a U-try, but before I show you that, I need to go ahead and show you the kind of lesson I would present. Listed in front of you here is section 1.3, multiplying and dividing real numbers. In this, what I do is I try to explain that when you multiply two negative numbers, it becomes a positive answer. And when you multiply two positive numbers, it also is a positive answer. The reason for that is two of the same, whether they're two negatives or two positives, turn into a positive answer. However, when you multiply a positive or a negative and a positive, they turn into negative. Therefore, one of each type makes a negative answer. And listed below, I use -2 and +2 to illustrate this. After that, I go on to the next section and show them how when you multiply a number and a fraction, you take the whole number times the top of the fraction divided by the bottom. In this way, we turn a fraction to nothing more than a number divided by another number, which I find seems to help the children quite a bit. Now we've done that, finally it's time for the U-try. So what I do is I put a few U-tries on the board. Now normally I do one at a time, but in this case I had them do 6. And what they'll do is they'll write their 6 problems with their notes, and then when I come around and take a look, sometimes I'll walk around and take a look at their answers, give them some encouragement and direction, some positive praise, say, I like this, you did good here, oh, this one here, just change this and you're going to have it. You'd be amazed at the results I get by walking the room and watching them succeed and giving positive praise. But that's only half of it. Now comes the reveal. Now when I pick each person for an answer, I go ahead, have them raise their hands. Once they raise their hands, I pick them. I've already walked by, so I make sure that they basically have the right answers. So I've set them up for success. And as each person goes ahead and answers each question, one person at a time, I go ahead and throw that person a Jolly Rancher. Now I try, of course, to be fair and to make sure that, it's evenly split, boy, girl. I don't favor people. I do the best I can. You will be amazed at the participation. I have almost 80 to 90% of my students raising their hand for every question, even though they know they've got their Jolly Rancher for the day. At that point, they simply like to participate in class, and that's where real learning happens. Now, there are 2 reasons for doing this. Reason 1. This could be a nice diversion needed to help keep the students' interest while being able to stay on topic. Reason 2. Students learn by doing. When they are actively engaged in solving a problem, they learn best. I suppose I could make my videos like this with me just talking to the screen. I see a lot of people on YouTube doing that, a lot of teachers, I should say, who make their videos with them simply talking, which is fine. But I think you would find that within a few minutes, you also would start trailing off. You would get bored because all you're seeing is a guy talking to you on the screen. This is why I use so many visuals. I use visuals to help you stay interested while telling you key points. This way, your brain gets to transition from picture to picture while I still get to give you the needed information. Or perhaps this would be a better visual. Definitely keeps your attention on things. Or I suppose we could talk like this. definitely keep your attention this way. Whichever way I need to get your attention and keep it, that's the method I'm going to use. Just as in teaching, as in this here. My job is to keep your attention while passing to you vital information. Tip number 2. How to start and finish each day. I got this gem from Dr. Donald Chase, the principal of Illinois' First Middle School. The tip is to start and end your class with what you're doing that day. This is good because at the beginning of class, it gives them the needed focus in order to set up what you're going to present. By telling them ahead of time, they basically set up an anticipatory guide in their heads. You also want to end your class with a review, saying, now here's what we've learned. This helps solidify their knowledge and helps them remember and retain information unto the next day. Tip number 3. Have a procedure to get class started. More on procedures later. Do not start class if you have a lot of students who are not prepared. If they're still moving around the room, if they're still sharpening their pencils, if they're still getting a calculator, if they're still trying to find their book, etc. The way to achieve this, though, is to have a procedure every morning. For instance, when I first started teaching, I would have a beginning of class quiz. And what they would do is they would come in, they would go ahead, sharpen their pencil, get everything else ready, but then on the board to the right would be a 2 or 3 question quiz. And what I would do is occasionally I would grade it for 3 points, and occasionally we would give out Jolly Ranchers for the right answer, and we would mix it up. But this way people had incentive to come in on time, sit down, quietly get to work, and then when I came in from greeting them in the hallway, everyone was mostly already actively engaged. This way I got class started right away, never had a problem. As years go on, you have to find what works for you. You perhaps will alternate, do other things, but whatever it takes, get class going and get them all lined up together. Tip number 4. Don't talk over your students. And what I mean by that is until you have the attention of your classroom, you do not begin teaching. Do whatever you're comfortable with to get their attention. In my case, it's actually my silence that gets their attention faster than anything else. They understand that the longer I have to wait to begin class, the more they're invariably going to have to do because I was standing around waiting for them to allow me to get class started. The good part about this is they're incentivized. They come to class, they get to work right away, we have fun at the end of the day. They start messing around, I start having to wait, they realize there's going to be much more for them to do because they made me wait. It's a system that has a mutual respect. Do right for me, I'll do right for you. You make me wait, and I'll wait till the cows come home if I have to before I start class. I say that, but in actuality, I have to sit there about 3 to 5 seconds while every other student says, hey, shh, he's waiting. You know we're going to work more if he has to wait too long. And they take care of the problem for me. Tip 5.